Hello, YouTubers. Side Hustle Survivalist here, teaching you not only how to survive, but to thrive in these crazy times. So this is part of my Young Entrepreneur series today, and I have a special guest, Hunter Davis from Texas, Oklahoma. Texas, Oklahoma. Wow, Texas, Oklahoma. From Texas.
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough. All right, so Hunter's going to talk to us. He's a young entrepreneur, a business owner. And Hunter, how did it all come about? How did you and I meet up?
Yeah, so you got to go way back. I was in college at Oklahoma State University, not too far. I found a job opportunity cutting cedars, which I don't honestly think I ever got finished. Did we, Bud? But I had an opportunity to work for Bud as a ranch hand here and learned a lot of good skills, learned that it's good to be an entrepreneur, be with your family, work hard, and more opportunities came out of this. We kind of turned into a family friendship. But it all started, I was here flying in Oklahoma State. We met, that was probably 2012, somewhere in there.
After that.
Somewhere in there. But I guess I went here for aviation to fly, changed my mind, and decided entrepreneurship was the way to go. And I got into drones, UAV.
Let me back up. You went to college here.
Yes.
To get an aviation degree.
That's correct, which I did and graduated with.
But have you used that aviation degree?
Not as much as what you would think. In the beginning, when I started my company, yes, because everything related to aviation was 100% applicable to the UAVs and helped me out tremendously. Now, the other, 2 years of college where your basic stuff and philosophy and all these things that most majors have to have was pretty much a waste of time.
And money.
And money, exactly. But as most colleges, you have to have those, to get what you're actually aiming for.
Now, talking about college.
As a whole, if
you don't have student debt, though, do you?
No, then that's the main thing. Pay that off as soon as you can. Do not carry that. No matter what anybody says in the news that it's going to be paid off, that's your debt.
Right.
Pay it off. Once you pay that off, you're already on a good trajectory, a good credit, get yourself established.
Okay. So you started working for me, and you worked for me for 4 years or 3?
I think it was like 5 by the time it was all said and
well, because you kept staying in college.
I did. I ended up staying to finish up my CFI and flight training. And anyways, I learned from Bud that it's better to work for yourself than for somebody else. And I got interested in an opportunity with UAVs. Mm-hmm. That market was blowing up at the time. Most people were doing real estate and construction sites, stuff like that. We had a chance to get into the energy sector and fly pipelines, which that blossomed into a pretty good deal. I ended up flying for some major companies out in the basin. And
I'm gonna back you up real quick. Sorry to interrupt him, but when you got into the UAV business, but what did you do first? You set up
our company. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
When we decided we want to get in the business, you want to get that liability off of you as a person. You want it to be its own entity. LLC, S Corp, whatever. That was the main part. And when I started this, no one really had hey, you got to do it in this order at this time. It was honestly just figuring it out as I went. I got a good CPA. He started doing the structuring of the company. I got all my papers in, have someone you trust and someone that you know. Once you get it set up, that takes a lot of liability off of yourself.
Right.
And of course, flying and doing energy sector, you're going to have your liability insurances. You need to cross your T's and dot all your I's before you just go out and start doing major jobs like that.
But we also got AT&T or mobile flying cell towers.
So yeah, when the energy dropped, we stopped doing as much oil and gas work, and I started doing towers, which is 3D mapping. So I would take the drone out, take thousands of shots, at all different angles, different trajectories, doing orbits. And once we got all those thousands of pictures together, we'd send it off to a modeling company, which would spin that up into a model to where they could see everything that we were doing. All their equipment there, any notes, anything that they needed to have put in there. It's basically a 3D model of equipment and tower.
He would never let me fly the
no, we didn't want any accidents there. So
those cost too much.
It cost a little too much at the time. But
he'd yell at me, "Get away from that!"
Yeah, don't touch the remote. Don't touch the remote. Yeah, and some of those, I mean, that was really challenging flying on some up in Amarillo and Lawton. flying in 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds with guide wires and the towers and all the equipment. It was a really good time. I learned on that you have to put a lot of time on being in the road and being dedicated when your original ideas don't work out.
He just hit on a key point, everybody. He's not a lazy guy. You got out there and worked. You were putting in 14-hour days, weren't you? 14, 15?
It was more than that. On the towers, when we were chasing work with the towers, it was pretty much you worked all day during flight hours. Once you hit your maximum hours, you'd bring in. But problem with that is, as I mentioned earlier, there's thousands of photos per model.
Yeah, then you got to put
all the data. You have to get all that uploaded. And so you're up all night doing editing and uploading the pictures.
And you got to drive to the next tower.
You're on the next tower, yeah. Sometimes it can be from Texas all the way down to Oklahoma or Arkansas, whatever.
I'd talk to him and he'd be out on the road for 10, 15 days straight, cussing me.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm doing this. This is crazy. But
at the same time, you were dating a young lady that eventually became your wife. Right?
Yes, and supported me tremendously through that. That's key. If you have a good wife at home to back you in your dreams, you'll get there. So the other side note is I was also working construction at the same time, filling in between drone jobs or tower jobs. We'd work and do jobs for Walmart.
I'm going to interrupt there again. Sorry. So he just said that, you know, you may be asking, say, well, I thought you were on the road all the time. How were you able to do construction? Because those drone jobs would come in spurts.
That's great.
They weren't, it's not a constant deal. So Hunter here was looking for different side hustles at that time. And so whenever the drone deal, until the next contract or project came around, then he would go and do something else. So that led into, and I'll let you take it there.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at now is I found that construction can be extremely lucrative. And nowadays, there's not so many people are going to college and chasing big degrees when there's so many trade opportunities like electricians, plumbers, everybody in the construction business is making a great life for themselves, and they mostly own their own companies and start it. It's very lucrative. I learned that I enjoyed it. I really liked going to the different jobs in the beginning. Same thing on construction is all over Texas, Louisiana, hurricane emergencies. We did several jobs. And
how were you able to go into the construction? You learned you learned some of them here.
Yeah, well, I knew the company side of it. I mean, scheduling's a huge deal. Being driven to actually make your dates and your progression points. When I was doing drones, it was very stressful because you're working with someone that is multi-billion-dollar companies that they expect things done right and done now. And when you're working in construction for large corporations such as Walmart, places like that, they demand the same kind of response. So I applied that. I also applied time management on our projects. Once I got to where I knew all the projects that were normal for us, either be hurricane jobs, build backs, CMU walls, ceilings, whatever. When you got to the end of the job and everything's set, there's no better feeling. You've completed a whole build back. And once I got that figured out, I learned to run crews and to delegate, the labor and responsibilities to other people. Once we had that figured out, then it's more of managing your project managers and your laborers, and it becomes a fine-oiled machine. I got to where I loved that. So now, where I'm at in the time being, all these years later, I am not traveling hardly at all. I get to be at home from my office. We do all the bidding of jobs since I've seen, for 4 or 5 years now, all the same different jobs. Makes the bidding easier. We always have to call in our vendors for materials to get the best deal. I mean, every little bit that'll save you money is great for the company. And that kind of becomes a passion.
Your main customer is Walmart, though.
That's the main bread and butter is pretty much.
He does all Walmart, and you're one of the top 3 in the Texas or in this region or
just in the Texas region. We do tons of work. We've done all the way from small projects to big, month-long projects. Build back, especially on hurricane responses. The other cool thing with that is the humanitarian part of it. Getting in there and seeing those areas of devastation really drives you to bring it up because, of course, you get the stores open within a week or 2 of total damage. people can start getting,
Right.
generators, gasoline, they can get food, the minimums. It's a very rewarding job. And like I was telling him, I get to be home now. I have a daughter that just arrived. She gets to be at my desk and work with me in the mornings. And
That's cool.
I can't think of anything better, a job that allows you to be home, to be with your family and really enjoy the good pleasures of life.
When he was starting, he'd always holler at me, well, you just stay home all the time. And like, yeah, that's the way to do it. Work from your home.
That's it. That's it.
Build a business. So
Yeah.
he built the business. Actually, you built a couple. You had the
Yeah.
UAV.
And it's still the same company. The company just kind of changed what it was doing. We still have drones, just
Yep.
don't fly them as much. The market's pretty saturated with it. And
Well, see,
the
guys,
legalities.
this is a perfect example of he started a company. He's looking ahead. He's always planning and looking ahead. And obviously the drones that we did with flying on the energy oil deal, the whole oil thing crashed, but we shifted. And then we went to this. And now he's shifted again. And you can't just stay stuck in one thing.
You can't get comfortable.
You can't get comfortable.
That's the deal.
You have to always be on awareness, I guess is the word to say.
And it's not really ever a failure if you climb back up and you learn from it and you start a new adventure. It's lessons learned in life. And I've learned a lot from this man, especially on, like we just said, being at home, being with your family, being able to work, provide. Can't thank him enough because my life would be totally different.
It all
for an
started
airline.
with cutting cedar trees.
Yeah. And I
That's
still
how it
think
all
there's some
started.
out here.
It all started with I needed a ranch hand to come and cut cedar trees. And he showed up and he was actually willing to work. Had to take his cell phone away from him a couple times. But he'd go out there and cut it, except whenever he cut a tree and snakes would fall out of it. And
Yeah.
he quit
Bunch
3 or 4
stories.
times.
Yeah.
But he toughed it out. And so he's very respected by my family. In fact, he's
We
like
are
our
family,
son
man.
and his wife and now our granddaughter and step-granddaughter, I guess you might say. But it's gentlemen or people out there, if you're in my shoes, I tried to mentor this guy and now he's at a very good spot. You need to find somebody if you're a successful business owner or successful trader, successful whatever you do. Pick your avenue, your lane, and then help other people to get that way. And now Hunter is doing that same thing. He's working with other people around down in Texas area. And, he may mentor somebody here and there at the same time. But this just goes to show you that no matter what the economy is doing, and we know it's going down, but you can always find different opportunities, different side hustles, like he did, switching from one business to another, keeping the same business, but just switching your parameters and doing things that provides for you and your family. Plus, it's not just providing for him and his family. You got, about 15, 17 employees now?
Oh yeah, the company that I work with, yes. We've got several.
So he's providing for all their families at the same time. So it's a big responsibility to have on your shoulders. But he's figuring out the family time work deal, and you have to figure that out and make it work for you.
That's exactly right.
So-
But what he just said on the mentorship, that's a huge thing. That's the best thing you can do for the next generations. And the next generations are the ones that are going to take care of us when we can't anymore. And it's pretty scary out there right now. I think we can get across that. And that was a very important thing in my life. Changed my life. Changed the life of my wife and now my baby. So can't thank you enough, bud. Everything has been great opportunities.
It has. It's been a fun and it's been a rocky and bumpy road,
Yeah.
but it has been memorable.
I remember our first trip to Georgia, picking up the trailer. Knew we were going to be friends there.
Yeah, boy, I was cussing so much about a truck, a brand new truck I got.
5 miles to the gallon the whole way.
He's driving and I'm on the phone with the dealership, hollering and screaming. And he was kind of like, I like this guy.
Yeah, it's
So,
gonna work out,
It's
man.
going to work out. But anything else you want to give our audience for younger generation? You know, he's still young. He's only 30, everybody. So
I can
don't let him
say
tell you he's
this is
getting old.
just me rambling here. As someone, I did graduate with a bachelor's in aviation administration and operation. I do still fly. I love flying. Actually, this morning
Yeah.
I got to fly, and I'm about the happiest guy in the world. But I learned,
You got to take the plane out.
yeah, exactly. There's passions. It's better to work hard for yourself and work towards working for yourself and building something than it is to work your whole life doing the same thing
Yeah.
over and over and
Getting
over.
a paycheck, hoping that you got enough retirement.
Making someone else their retirement, that's fine, it's respectable, but if you want to really have your life and take charge and make your own, I'm very big on being my own self-reliance. I don't need the government to help me. I don't need really much of anything. I kind of like having my own little setup system, and when you work towards it and you finally get there to where you can sit back and say, man, I built this is going on, I am enjoying life. Your passions, you can't beat that.
Well, he's building a legacy for his daughter and
That's right,
maybe other
exactly.
children that come along.
That's
So, you know, the Bible says a prudent man or wise man will provide for his son's sons, or
That's
generation after generation. So he's at that cusp where he's building it for his family now, which will hopefully flow through to your grandchildren and your children's children. So that's
all you
one of the
hope
ways
for.
you got to look at it.
Yep.
Back to for somebody young, you think side hustles are
Side hustles are great.
You got to look at ways to make
And
extra.
there's times, I know several people that started off as a side hustle and it grew in to a good business, a great
yeah.
business.
Well, yours,
There's nothing wrong, you know, going after anything you can get a hold of. Now, if it's not making you money at all and it's not building towards anything, obviously don't waste that
don't do
much
it.
time on it.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's passion and then there's money. You gotta provide for your family. But yeah, on the small side gigs, there's nothing wrong with that. There's
Yeah.
several people, my brother included, that does tractor work, goes out and clears land, does the tree tumblers and everything. That pays really good. It fuels the fire to build other things.
That's a good quote. I like that quote. It fuels the fire to build other things. That's
right.
a good one.
So yeah, I can't say that enough, and just keep going. Don't let the things get down. Don't listen to the news 24/7 that
Right.
everything's terrible. We can change things. You can build things. That America that my grandpa grew up in was entrepreneurial. It was mom and pop stores. I hope to see society and the newer generation start to realize that that's the way to go.
Yeah.
That to work hard for it, make your own thing, and good things will come.
Provide for your community, your family.
And your neighbors, you know,
and your
take care of
neighbors.
your neighbors. It's
Right.
all the normal stuff. But yeah, don't lose hope as the younger generations are coming in. You can very easily watch the news or look at your Facebook or whatever and just see all this negativity 24/7, wears you down, brings you down. Just try to get out of that cycle, break free of that. Look at what's good that our country's, you know, there's several things that are good. They're just not talked about anymore.
Right.
So don't lose hope. Be strong and the country will be strong with us.
Yep. All right. Any last thing?
I think that's good.
All right.
I wish y'all very well.
All right. Hey, YouTubers, another young entrepreneur of our Young Entrepreneur series. So take note, a lot of wisdom in this young man. And everybody, you can go out there and you can do this for yourself. Start a side hustle, start a company, start a business. Do whatever it takes to provide for you, your family, and your community. So with that said, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, if you could, please. That helps helps the algorithms, gets this out, because there's a lot of people that need to hear stories like this. So thank you, God bless, and have a great day. Entrepreneur